Hello class, today I'm going to discuss writing proposals. What is a proposal? A proposal is an offer to carry out a research or to provide a product or service. Now this means we got to present our arguments in the manner that they convince the reader of our point of view. For example, if you're offering a product, of course you want the reader to buy your product, right? Or to invest in your product. So you are going to present arguments in the manner that the reader gets convinced. Same goes for the research project. You want people to invest in your project, right? So you got to present your arguments in the manner that they must be convinced in the end. Now let's talk about writing a proposal in detail. Let me clear all of these markings and let me use mouse to show you another slide. Here we are. All right. The logistics of proposals. Proposals can be divided into two broad categories: internal proposals, external proposals. Now, internal proposals, let's talk about first. Internal proposals are written for the audience inside the organization. Let's suppose a very good idea strikes your mind and you want to share it with the top management. The best way is to put your idea in writing instead of telling about it orally. Now if you want to put your idea in writing, you probably would be relying on writing an internal proposal. You got to write a proposal so all the stakeholders could read about your idea, right? Evaluate it, and if they find it appropriate, approve it, right? Okay. Same goes for external proposals. You have a product to offer or a service to offer, and you have an idea to offer in case of when if you're engaged in any sort of research, right? In both cases, you are basically engaged with the audience outside the organization. Now, this means that you want the audience outside the organization to invest in your project in case of a research proposal, or to invest in your product or service in case of you're offering in case of goods or services proposal, right? Or in case you are offering a good or service. All right, so now let's talk about these two types in detail. Let me show you another slide here. Let me use my mouse. All right, hold on. Okay. External proposal can be divided into two categories: solicited proposal, unsolicited proposal. Now, usually what happens that organizations who are looking or which are looking for suppliers to buy products or avail services, they issue a document, or they advertise rather through a document, and that is called information for bid. Yeah, for bid. Okay, this information for bid is the document, or document which carries information about the general requirement of the company. That means what size, what shape, right? How much quantity, what price, goods they're looking for, right? General requirements. So this document is doesn't have much detail, right? Okay, or details. Rather, it just simply point out, highlight the important aspects, right? Like general requirements about the product and all that, right? Okay. On the other hand, there is another document which is called RFP, that stands for a request for is released or published or advertised whatsoever. Now this document is different from IFB in the manner that it has got more details, or it's a detailed document, right? Why does it have more details? Because the company is looking for the product with specific features, right? So that means some sort of specifications are involved here. Now this means this company is looking for the product which might not be used by other, you know by other companies, because the products are customized. For example, if most of the companies, they buy 32-inch LED, right? And if your company requires, 12-inch LEDs, right? Okay. In that case, your company got to issue RFP, because here your company requires, a specific, product with different, features. So some sort of specifications are involved, right? Because generally, this size, right, is not demanded, is not required by organizations. So that means it's a sort of customized product. So for such products, right, companies are to offer RFP. Now it's not just limited to, product. It specification may be required, right? Or that sort of this sort of RFP, request for proposal, may be required in case the company is looking for, uh, you know, very specific services, right? So in both cases, right, RFP is released. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about uh, solicited proposal further. Now let me now you can also understand that when company issues RFP or IFP, right, in both cases, the company is sharing its requirements, right? So when the company shares its requirements in response to the company's advertisement or release of RFP or IFB, right? You write a proposal. So in this case, you are basically engaged in writing a solicited proposal. That means you have been invited, you have been asked to write a proposal. So when you have been asked to write a proposal, that is solicited proposal. Now we have another type of proposal that is called unsolicited proposal. This means that no one has asked to offer a product or service, or to choose a topic and research on it, right? But you are rather inviting them to buy your product or services or invest in your research project and all that. In that case, you are engaged in unsolicited, right, engaged in writing an unsolicited proposal, right? Is that clear? Okay, so that means unsolicited proposal is uninvited. This one is invited, right? Okay, now let me go ahead. Let me stop the annotation first. Let me use my mouse. Let's have a look at another slides. Okay, here we have another slide. Now, the deliverables of proposals: research proposal and goods and services proposals. If we are writing a research proposal, what is the outcome, the result of that proposal? What are we going to deliver in return? Someone invests, in your project, in your research. Okay, now what the organization or he or she would get in return? So what we really need to deliver, right? Once or someone invests in our research proposal, in the end, right? Okay, that is, we got to write a report. It could be a completion report, could be a recommendation report, or it could be simply a report. So we got to write a report in the end, in short. That's what we are going to deliver, right? In return of someone's investment, funding, and all that, right? Okay, on the other hand, when we are writing a proposal, goods and services proposals particularly, we got to deliver goods and services in the end, right? So you write a proposal, you offer a product or service that is accepted. So what is the outcome? You got to deliver that good, that product, okay, right? Or you have to, supply the service and all that. All right. Okay. Now we got to take care of couple of things when we are involved either in a research proposal or a goods and service proposals. What are those things? Let me clear all of this. Okay. We know that the deliverable of a research proposal is a report like completion report, a completion report, right? Now, we should know that what exactly it tells. It tells the whole story of the research project, that is RP. It states the problem or opportunity, which motivated the one to carry out the research. It also includes methods involved, procedures, resources which were used, and all that. And finally, findings of your, right? It includes findings as well, right? Once this has been done, the research has been carried out, right? Okay, so of course you got to give the report. You have to write conclusion and recommendations as well. So one should know that, like, once this proposal is accepted, what am I going to, deliver, after the research has been carried out? What the investor would get in return? That's also very important, right? So this also means that whatever you plan, whatever you show in your proposal, right? uh, you got to uh, you know at least deliver all those things which you promise when you're writing a proposal. Even in case of a research proposal, if you state a problem, you state an opportunity. So when you're writing a report, you got to talk about the same problem or same opportunity or same aspects. So you're not going to deviate from what you talked about. Let me use mouse. All right. There's some issue with the recording, I believe. Okay, now it's fine. Now, as I discussed earlier, also, when you are writing goods and services proposals, of course, the deliverable would be the product you are offering, right? So, in that case, you got to consider some couple of things. For example, you got to deliver what you have promised, what you have promised in the proposal. This is something very important because if you don't do that, right, they may not accept your product, your service, because you are because it's deviating from what you promised, right? So when you're writing a research proposal, you got to think about deliverables. When you're writing goods and services proposals, you got to think about deliverables. Now let me clear all of this and let's go ahead. Persuasion and proposals. Now, you got to persuade your readers, right? And you can do it by paying attention to three things: that you understand readers' needs. You got to tell them that you understand fully, right, their needs. Now, this will, of course, build their trust in you. It will definitely improve your credibility. Okay, sorry, credit, credibility, right? That you have already, you also need to tell them that you have already determined what you plan to do, right? And you are able to do, and that you are able to do. I There is a typo here, let me correct that one. Okay, so that you have already determined what you plan to do, and that you are able to do. What does that mean basically? This means that you know, or you know your direction, you know where you are heading to, right? You're clear on your goals, right? And you're also aware of your potential, the resources you have, right? So this means that you're basically assuring your reader that whatever they have invested in, right, is in safe hands. So once again, you are adding to your credibility and you're trying to gain their trust and all that, right? Another thing which you really need to take care of, or you got to point out, that you are professional and committed to fulfilling your promises. You would not deviate from what you have promised. You will kind of keep your words, right? Is that clear? So all these things you have to, when you're writing a proposal, and if you really want it to be persuasive, you make sure that it includes all these three things, right? Now let me clear. Let's go ahead now. Understanding readers' needs. Okay, now we know that there are two types of readers involved here, and one is internal reader, and second is external reader. These are two categories, right? So when you are writing for internal readers, it's very difficult to extract information from them because and why are you willing to extract information? Because you want to know them, of course you want to understand them, so you need to inquire information, you need some information about them, of course, right? You want to know about their attitude, their likely reaction or reactions, right? Okay, in case you put the idea forward. Okay, but internal audience is quite reluctant to open up, reluctant to share their ideas or share what they think about, uh, you know, think about the idea being presented and all that, right? Okay, so why is it so? Because they consider you one of your rivals, you are in competition with them, so they feel threatened. So that's why it's very difficult to uh, get the information from internal readers. On the other hand, external readers, right, they may not be reluctant to share their ideas, or open up a, you know, on a topic or something like that, right? But it's difficult to access them. It's easier to access internal readers, but it's difficult to obtain information from them. It's it's difficult to access external readers. And although comparatively, it's easier to obtain information from external readers. Now, Newman has given 6 suggestions in this regard, especially if you're obtaining information from a different culture, the reader who belongs to a different culture, right? And he says that you must, keep or carry out these one, two, three, four, five, 6 things. First thing, you got to understand the persuasion, that the persuasion may differ from culture to culture. This means that some cultures may prefer, uh, you know, low price. Others may prefer high price. Well, no, I mean high quality rather. High quality products. Some may prefer low price products, right? Okay, so it varies from culture to culture. So you have to, like, for example, in your country, people prefer low price product or products, right? Okay, in that, it doesn't mean that you can persuade with the same, you know, attraction, right? Okay, uh, people from another culture, they may not prefer this, low price products and all that. All right. Okay. Budget enough time for time. When you're writing a proposal, of course, you got to, for the readers are, um, who don't belong to your culture, right? Okay. For example, you're writing a proposal for French people, or your readers are French, right? Okay. In that case, you may have to translate, the document. Okay, in case if they don't know English, or they are not well versed with that, right? In that case, right? So you got to have enough time for translating, right? You should not, because what happens that sometimes everything is ready, and we know that we got to send, the proposal by a particular deadline, and we keep one day or maybe some hours for translation, and it doesn't happen on time, right? In that case, you are likely to miss the opportunity, right? So you have to keep enough time for translating. Use simple graphics with captions, because this would also help, you know the readers to understand things. For example, if you include a complex graphic or complex graphics, right? Okay, in that case, the reader may misinterpret what is being communicated, in those diagrams or graphics and all that, right? So it's better to use simple graphics, so there shouldn't be any sort of ambiguity. You got to remove every possible vagueness. Write short sentences for the same reason, that they short sentences are easy to understand, right? They would not generate any sort of ambiguity, right? So you have to write short sentences. Use local conventions of if you're writing, uh, you know, uh, to a French reader, let's suppose, right? Okay, or French readers, okay. In that case, you have to use their conventions of punctuation, especially if you see some deviations, right, uh, of their punctuation system, right, from your punctuation system, that means English, right? Okay, so you try to use, their conventions rather than yours. Ask for a read through, ask readers to go through, the whole thing, whatever you have written. Why? Because this way, if there anything unclear, right, uh, that can be, asked to explain. So you send a rough draft, okay, to the readers, okay, the people you are sending the proposal or writing the proposal for, okay, and then ask them to go through it, and if anything is unclear, they they should point it out, so you could remove the part which is unclear, or you could rewrite the part which is unclear, right? Okay, and you can, and you actually, um, you take steps, or you could take steps, right, to make things clearer to them. All right, so these are one, two, three, four, five, six things which you have to keep in mind when you are writing, right, a proposal for the people who belong to a different culture. Keep that thing in mind. All right, now let me go ahead. Describe what you plan to do, discuss procedures, your methodology, right? For example, you're carrying out a research, what methods? So you're going to use, you are providing a service, right? Okay, so how would you be doing that, right? Okay, do you have enough resources to carry out the research, or to provide a particular service, or to provide a particular product? You have to present a complex picture, right? So if it's a project, there are different phases involved, right? Which phase ends at what time, and when another phase begins, all of that. Same goes for the product deliverables, right? What features, what specifications, okay, and by what time, in what, how much quantity, and on all that information. In short, you have to cover all questions, right? So you got to discuss procedures, you got to tell about resources, right, which you will be using, and you have to present a complex picture. Now please remember one thing, it varies from, of course, situation to situation, right? So for example, you're talking about procedures, so that this heading fits in, if you're talking about research proposals. It may not fit in, right, if you're talking about writing a proposal for services or goods in some cases, whereas in other cases it may fit in. It depends, so we cannot make all these things hard and fast. It varies. Okay, let me demonstrate your professionalism. Now, very important points which I would like to talk about over here. You have to